The rise of a powerful chief, Powhatan, architect of an empire. Imagine a land of winding rivers, dense forests, and abundant wildlife, a place where dozens of distinct tribes navigated the ebbs and flows of nature and politics. Long before English ships appeared on the horizon, one man rose to bind these diverse peoples together, forging a confederacy that would shape the fate of an entire continent. That man was Powhatan, the father of Pocahontas and the supreme indigenous leader who met the first Jamestown settlers. A world before Jamestown. Powhatan's early life and vision. Before the English staked their claim on the shores of what would become Virginia, the Chesapeake Bay region thrived under the careful stewardship of its native peoples. Born around 1547, Wahun-Senakau, later known as Chief Powhatan, grew up in a world of shifting alliances and persistent rivalries among the Algonquian-speaking tribes. Through a blend of strategic marriages, forceful conquest, and the shrewd adoption of allies, Powhatan began to build something unprecedented. A confederacy of over 30 tribes, collectively known as the Powhatan Confederacy. Powhatan wasn't just a chief, he was a visionary. He saw unity as the key to survival, strength, and prosperity for his people. His confederacy stretched from the Potomac River in the north to the James River in the south, encompassing over 15,000 people by the early 17th century. Each tribe kept its own leader, but all answered to Powhatan, who ruled from his capital, Werowocomoco. Life and leadership in the Powhatan Confederacy. Daily life in the Powhatan Confederacy was deeply connected to the natural world. People farmed the fertile land, hunted deer and other game, and fished the rivers. Social structure was organized and matrilineal. Inheritance and status often passed through the mother's line, and women played significant roles in both the family and the broader community. Powhatan presided over this world as a paramount chief. His word was law, but his leadership was as much about diplomacy as it was about power. He wielded authority through a council of subchiefs, Werowances and Werowansquas, ensuring the Confederacy's unity in the face of internal and external threats. In this way, the Powhatan Confederacy became a formidable force, one that would soon face an unprecedented challenge. First contact. The English arrive. In 1607, 3 English ships sailed up the James River, carrying more than 100 settlers. They established Jamestown, the first permanent English colony in North America. At first, Powhatan watched these newcomers with curiosity and caution. He recognized the potential for both alliance and danger. The English, for their part, were woefully unprepared for the realities of the New World. They depended on the Powhatan people for food and guidance. Trade began as a lifeline, with the colonists exchanging metal tools and trinkets for corn and other provisions. It was during this tense, uncertain period that one of history's most famous encounters occurred, the meeting between John Smith and Powhatan. Adoption and diplomacy. Powhatan and John Smith legend, and John Smith's own writings, tell of an episode in which Smith was captured by Powhatan's warriors and brought before the chief. According to Smith, he was dramatically saved from execution by Powhatan's daughter, Pocahontas, who intervened at the last moment. While historians debate the exact truth of this story, was it a ritual adoption, a staged ceremony, or simply English embellishment? What's clear is that Powhatan saw value in establishing a relationship with Smith. Powhatan adopted Smith as a werowance, or subordinate leader, effectively making him a vassal of the Confederacy. This move was both practical and symbolic. It allowed the chief to assert his supremacy while also opening the door to trade and communication. Powhatan was a master of diplomacy, always seeking to balance the needs of his people with the shifting realities of the English presence. Tensions mount. War on the horizon. But the alliance was fragile. The English, desperate for food and determined to expand, often violated agreements and encroached on Powhatan lands. Skirmishes became more frequent, and trust began to erode. Powhatan's patience wore thin as the colonists' demands grew more aggressive. In 1609, relations reached a breaking point. Powhatan ordered his warriors to attack James Fort, launching what would become known as the First Anglo-Powhatan War. The conflict was brutal and costly for both sides. The English endured the infamous starving time, when food ran out and settlers resorted to desperate measures. Powhatan's people suffered losses from English raids and retaliatory attacks. This war was not just a struggle for territory, it was a clash of worldviews. Powhatan fought to protect his people's sovereignty and way of life, while the English sought to establish a foothold in the New World. Pocahontas, the bridge between two worlds. In the midst of this turmoil, Powhatan's daughter, Matoaka, better known as Pocahontas, emerged as an extraordinary figure. She visited Jamestown, brought food to the starving settlers, and became a symbol of hope for peace. In 1613, she was captured by the English and held for ransom. During her captivity, she converted to Christianity, took the name Rebecca, and married tobacco planter John Rolfe. The marriage of Pocahontas and Rolfe in 1614 brokered a fragile peace between the Powhatan Confederacy and the English. For a time, hostilities ceased, and trade resumed. But the peace was uneasy, and the underlying tensions remained. Endings and legacies. The final years of Powhatan. The death of Pocahontas in 1617 dealt a heavy blow to relations between the Powhatan Confederacy and the English. Grief-stricken and perhaps sensing the tides of change, Powhatan withdrew from active leadership. He died around 1618, passing authority to his brothers, Opechancanough and Itoyatan. Powhatan's successors would face further conflict with the colonists. Opechancanough, in particular, led devastating attacks against the English in the years that followed, but the balance of power had shifted irrevocably. Powhatan's enduring impact. Powhatan's legacy is complex and profound. He was a leader who navigated a time of immense upheaval, employing both force and diplomacy to secure his people's future. The Confederacy he built was a remarkable achievement, a political and social network that brought unity to dozens of tribes. Yet, Powhatan's world was forever changed by the arrival of the English. His story, and that of his daughter Pocahontas, has been retold countless times, often through the lens of myth and legend. The reality is both more nuanced and more powerful. Powhatan was a shrewd and compassionate leader, fiercely devoted to his people and their way of life. Reflections. Lessons from Powhatan's story. As we reflect on Powhatan's life, we see the enduring power of leadership, unity, and resilience. His efforts to protect his people in the face of overwhelming odds offer important lessons for us all. The story of Powhatan and the world he shaped reminds us that history is not simply a tale of winners and losers, but of individuals and communities striving to find common ground. In the forests and rivers of Virginia, echoes of Powhatan's Confederacy remain, a testament to a leader whose vision changed the course of history. A legacy never forgotten. So, the next time you hear the name Powhatan, remember not just the father of Pocahontas, but the architect of an empire, the master strategist, and the leader who stood at the crossroads of two worlds. His story, a reminder that even in the face of tremendous change, the strength of a people and their leader can leave a legacy that endures through the centuries.